All right. Yeah, you can keep going.
So I think also we need to teach our children. I think us as adults need to reflect on certain situations too, because I don't think it's just all about how do we preserve our mental health, how do we learn from this, how do we learn, awareness signs. I think mental health plays a big part in so many things. I think we need to teach our children to be we need to teach our children how to be kind.
Mm-hmm.
I think us as adults, we need to be kind to each other. You see so many people being so rude or so mean to people in general these days. And I feel like our children read so much of us. And then, or sometimes, when somebody's bullying, they are hurting themselves, so that's their way to self-induce on somebody else. Then in the meantime, it's a trickle-down effect, and then that person feels so bad about themselves that they hurt themselves, or they are doing, self-harming. They're going out and trying to escape through drugs or whatever, or they have a bad home life, or they've had some trauma, whatever the case may be. I think mental health plays so much in so many intertwines. But I think we need to teach our children to accept others and to be kind. We need to be kind to each other and try to read people better. Again, we're all a work in progress, and we're all going to hit some bumps in the roads, and we're all going to say things that maybe we shouldn't say, or maybe self-reflect on it later. But I think we start with our kids too. This is how you have an open conversation. I need you to let me know if you're not feeling a certain type of way. These are serious things. And of course, by all means, do it at an age level. My daughter asked me, maybe end of 4th grade, beginning of 5th grade, what suicide was. Because I did not think she was, we weren't at that level yet. But I knew eventually she would ask, and she did. She asked if that's what happened with Tyler, and I was honest, because she did not know the full extent. But again, I think everything comes in steps. But I think if we teach them, and we have those open conversations, our kids are the future, and we've heard that for 1,000 years. Our youth is our future. But who changes the future, or who changes the path, is the one that is teaching it. So, and sometimes things are self-taught. We as parents, we teach our children. You as educators, teach our children. People that are in our community, we teach our community. So, or you may be a stranger teaching a stranger. But we have to do better, I feel like. We have to do better as a community. And again, shit happens, excuse my language, that you are going to say the wrong thing. You're going to curse. You're going to hurt somebody's feelings. You're always not going to be the right person for somebody. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I'm okay with that. But has it taken me a while to be okay with that? Yeah. Do I still struggle with that sometimes? Absolutely. I'm human. It's taken me a while to learn that. Do I still get my anxiety up on a few things? Exactly. I do. But I think we need to talk about it. We need to bring awareness. We need to have events here in Calvert County. We need to have something in our schools. I feel like, and maybe, like I said in the video, my husband and I both said it. Maybe we realize it a lot more now because we lost our son. But it just seems like too many. And to me, one is too many that we're losing. But I do know that these therapists, they're overwhelmed, and a lot of that is from the pandemic and people bringing maybe certain situations to light. But I think we need more resources. We need, more facilities. I feel like we shouldn't have to travel for resources outside of where we're at. Sometimes I know you have to. And I feel like we live in an area that is we're close to DC, Baltimore. We live in a very strong area as far as, professionals, doctors, different things. And I feel like we shouldn't have to want. But it's like people are waiting so long to receive services. But what is the real reason why? Is it short staff? Is it the overwhelming of people? Is it there's not enough resources? I don't know. But I do know that I see people saying they can't find somebody.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember my dad told me, this was a year before he passed, and this was his way of growing up, so he didn't know how to deal with mental health, but I was going through some mental health problems myself, and he said to me, don't tell people your problems and don't tell people what you're going through, because all you do is just worry them and you stress them out. And I find that poetic that he said that, because he passed a year later from a heart attack and high blood pressure, and he never told anybody what he was going through. And I just thought that was just so insane that he passed that on to me. And in a way, I carried that for a year and a half of don't tell people your problems, don't tell people what you're going through. Just keep it to yourself. Don't bother anybody with it. But I had to learn, through grief counseling, through therapy, that it's healthy to talk to people, the right people, of course. And all of that was so just helpful with my growth in the last year. Finding acceptance with my father's passing, learning how to establish myself on my own, of course with the help of others, but just learning more about who I am and breaking down that notion of, keeping it to yourself and, having that tough guy mentality of just trying to go through life on your own.
So I really, it's funny that you bring that up, because I think my husband had brought that up in the documentary, that's how he was taught. And he probably should have had some conversations with Tyler that he didn't have, because he was always taught basically don't share your feelings, be a man's man, whatever. It doesn't really have to be that way. But I think also sometimes people criticize people for expressing their feelings, or they say that they're coming off disrespectful or rude. And that's really not. I think everything can be worked out. But I think if we educate people of hey, this is how you should approach. This is what are some signs. I think, I think we have learning to do. And I think that we need to, just like for me, I know it's a benefit on my, every employment place has a benefit for you to seek, mental health services or resources, but promote that benefit. A lot of them have the resources, it's free, you can call and, get 3 sessions with a person or whatever. Well, promote it, because sometimes people don't know. People don't research their own resources through work or their benefits. They just know they have medical and, they get a paycheck every 2 weeks or a week, So I say just, you have to be there. But I think that here, especially in Calvert County, we have to do better. And, I think that there are people that are in ordinance with that. I think they probably get tired of me saying that, we have to break the stigma, we have to bring awareness, we have to educate themselves, and they probably think that I'm stuck because I'm going off of my own experience. Yeah, well, I had to experience what I did to know how I feel now. And that's why they say, you don't understand until you walk in that person's shoes. Yes, I always had sympathy for others if they lost somebody, as far as like their mom or their dad or even their child. I had sympathy for them, and my heart went out to them. But I never experienced it, so I didn't know how it felt, per se. I lost my son, and I knew exactly how these people felt. And you live with that for the rest of your life, because I'll forever miss my son. I'm his mother. It's only natural. It's human. So I'm not stuck. I just think it's a very important thing. And just, I'm not stuck. Do I want people to remember who he was? Yes. Was he always right? No. Can he teach us a lesson, even being gone 6 years later? Absolutely. Because we share his story, and we show what type of person others may have perceived him as, or being friends with him, so forth. And maybe we can say, somebody would say, hey, I saw you speak, or I saw you, do the documentary or your videos with, the Come On Project, and it encouraged me to speak to somebody. Or, wow, you shared your story and I wanted to have a conversation with my own child. I'm not out here trying to save the world. I just want us to do better where we live, where we raise our kids, where we send our kids to school. And maybe, I don't know my purpose, but maybe that is my purpose. I don't know. Maybe if I have other parents that have said, yes, my child, they can speak alongside me. I don't know. I don't have the answers. But you wouldn't be human if you wouldn't say that I have never experienced a mental health issue. Everybody has experienced a mental health issue, but you have either talked it through with somebody, whether they're professional or not, or you've learned coping skills to recognize that and push your way through. Some people don't have that, and they need that. You would be lying to yourself. We've all known somebody that has experienced, whether, as I said, everybody has probably experienced, you, myself, anybody that you know, or somebody that has gone through something. You all know, everybody knows somebody that either has lost their life to suicide, or of somebody. So why not talk about it and make it better? You know what I mean? Yeah, because the next generation of students, they need to know. They need to know, like, hey, this is real. And, this isn't the way to go. These are the consequences of what happens if you choose to go down this route. But just know that it's okay to talk to somebody. You don't have to feel like you're a burden. If you feel like you're that burden, be that burden. Talk to somebody before you get to that point, because you are loved and admired and appreciated. And even though we don't say it, my papa, he can't say that because that's not how he grew up. Yeah, it's no emotion shown.
But he finally said it like a few weekends ago. He was just like, I got two things I want to say to you before you walk out. Love you to death, remember who created heaven and earth. And I was like, wait a minute, did you just say you love me?
Right.
And he shows it through his actions, but I think it's important to know that, to just say that, like, hey, like, I love you. Even though we don't talk, we may not be the best of friends, I love you and I think your life is precious. And these next generation of students, young people like myself, we need to know that. There needs to be more of that. Because this is a thankless life. We go through every day, go to work,
exactly.
do everything. This is a thankless life. And I think there needs to be, like you said, more awareness and more attention, to stuff like this.
Exactly. And I think that appreciation and love can be shown in so many ways. You don't necessarily have to say it, but at least show the attention to the fact and so forth. And I know my son knows now, how loved he was. He was very loved. And you look at pictures and stuff and you're like, I think in my situation, like, people never saw that coming because it was so left field for Tyler. But sometimes things happen to the ones that you least expect. And I'm here to tell you, mental health, someone that passes away from suicide, has no face. We are all equal, but we all need to understand that we are a piece to someone's puzzle, and we fit somewhere. And like you said, I said it already through this conversation, we are all precious, and life is precious, and in life you're going to have downfalls, but you have to learn how to overcome that. And I just feel like this is not about youth. It's not about a certain, group. It's about people in general.
Yeah. And the 6 years since his passing, of course, you have a new child. You're doing a lot of new things also. I'm sure you form new bonds, new relationships with people. How have you evolved in the 6 years since his passing?
Well, that's a tough question, Cedric. Well, I think I've made my mind more aware. I think I've made my mind well aware. I think that I've formed, my soul is comfortable speaking about my son. I think that that's because I feel like, yes, I feel like I share him because I know it needs to be done. You know what I mean? We had a new baby in January of 2021. So life has been very busy. In September of 2021, I agreed and did the documentary with the Become One project, which is here in Calvert County. We are a community. We live in this community. It is headed by Miss Anita Santoya. And, I initially met Anita through Antoine. She actually does another piece where she writes for Humans of Calvert County. That is hers as well. I'm a huge fan of Humans of Calvert County. I've always loved to read it, way before even losing Tyler. And when Antoine, he presented her, to, I want you to meet my friend, this and that, and when he told me, I was like, oh my gosh, I love that group, So I originally met her to basically do an interview for Humans of Calvert. And I instantly felt an instant connection with her. I mean, just instantly, and just some of the things, I was just like, wow. you know, and then present it, fast forward. It never got posted for Humans of Calvert until last year. But like I said before, in divine time. Everything happens in divine time. And, you know, so I think she's opened up those channels. Myself, Antoine, the whole group as a whole, the team, you know, we're trying to place this word out in our community. So we started out with the Tyler documentary. It'll be a year that this was released. It can, you know, we have it on YouTube. We have it on the Become One website, Facebook page, Instagram page. Now we are getting ready to, I say we are a great team because we all like do things like so, not spontaneously, but we have so much of that love there, and each of us brings something different to the table as a, you know, so now we're going to have a walk at Jefferson Patterson Park. I've always felt like, you know, you see all these other organizations have walks in other communities, and I've participated in so many walks since losing my son, and I'm like, and we've always had a team, you know, called Team Bland, hashtag Team Bland. And I was like, and I've always questioned over the years, why can't we have one in Calvert? I've asked the people that head those organizations, do you always have to have it X, Y, Z? You know, and they said, no, we're trying to get something in Calvert, we're working with, you know, the right departments and stuff like that. You know, and I know we had some restrictions because of COVID. And that's fine. Nobody's to blame. But now we are going to bring a walk to Calvert County. And we're hoping to get as many resources to provide back to the community to say, hey, these are here for you to utilize. Let the, you know, these departments are here. Maybe you knew they were here, maybe you didn't know they were here. So it's going to be September 10th, 6:30. 6:30 to 7:30 is like the registration process. The ideal is we're going to have like a walk during the dusk. And then, you know, to gather and maybe come on as a community. A lot of times when you go to these traditional walks, it's during the morning and there's some resources and stuff like that. And when you're finished, you're always kind of like a little blah about it, because it can get you in your feelings and your emotions, and I don't know, like that's why for me, I've always opened my house up after a walk, but I just feel like, so I want to do, when we do this walk, we're just going to open it up and, you know, have some time to gather, have some time to talk, have some time to catch up, you know. So I think it's good, and I appreciate, you know, the Become One project. I appreciate the friendship of Mr. White, Miss Anita, you know, Angelica, who she's in a totally different state. We're all collectively a team, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that shows a lot.
Yeah.
And we're gonna bring it here to Calvert, and I encourage anybody that can support us, you know, come, because we've all been affected in some kind of way, one way or another, and we need this here in our community, and hopefully we can continue it. And we appreciate, you know, Jefferson Patterson Park. They're allowing us to have that there, and especially in a short amount of time. So we're getting it done.
Yeah, I like that.
So, you know, and, you know, we're pushing forward to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so my last question to you before we go ahead and wrap up, it's been a great conversation with you. This is the first time really interacting like this, you know, face to face. So
right.
It's been really great. But if you could go back and offer a piece of advice to your younger self, let's say 18, 17-year-old self, or even your 20s, what would you say to that young Amanda? any piece of wisdom you would offer to her?
I think for me, my younger self, would I change a lot? Maybe not, because I took them as experiences and now I call them lessons. But I will say not to always be afraid. Not always to be afraid to take that challenge. Not always, maybe don't overthink so much. I'm an overthinker to the fullest, even now being in my late 30s. I overthink everything. I overanalyze, per se. It doesn't have to be that way. So I think maybe give myself some time to relax a little bit. Because I tend to have a lot of high energy. And so yeah, but as far as like my experiences or anything like that, I don't think I'd change it. I had to experience some of the struggle to be where I'm at today.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciated talking with you. I appreciate your strength and your courage to tell Tyler's story, especially once again on a platform like this. So once again, thank you for your time.
No, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you wanting to touch base on this and being open. Not everybody has that, ability to be open and to have a conversation the way that you do. And you should commend yourself for a lot of the platforms that you open up for so many. So I thank you, and I know that a lot of people thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. Remember, guys, take care of yourself, take care of your health. Your health is your wealth. Stay blessed and stay encouraged.